Good evening. Welcome to West Coast Paranormal. I'm Luke. I'll be your host tonight. We have 3 scary camping stories and a bonus one because someone added 2 stories into one. A call from my sister. My older sister is a thru hiker and goes backpacking often. We grew up in Appalachia in a very remote area. Growing up poor, we spent a lot of time camping, and now that we're older, she lives closer to home and regularly goes camping with my parents. We've had our fair share of bear and wildcat encounters, but nothing like this has happened before. Today, I called out of work with a stomach bug. I woke up from a nap, and my sister texted me asking if she could give me a call. I live about 5 hours away, so I immediately said yes, fearing it was an emergency. When I answered, I could hear her footsteps very fast and her hurried breath in the phone. She said that she was in a ridge taking photos of a cave system she found near a large rock formation. When she made it to a clearing, she heard a man call her name. It echoed through the woods. It was then that she reached out to me. While I was talking to her, I could hear my dad's voice in the background. She said that she was still an hour from her camp. When she said she was alone, I felt the iciest feeling down my neck. I asked her what the man's voice sounded like. She paused and said, "It sounded like several voices at the same time, but the loudest sounded like Dad." I stayed with her on the phone all the while, hearing something that was trying to sound like my dad. He's a lifetime smoker and very tall, so he has a low, booming voice that I have always found comforting up until now. And you already know, we just did a video on Fleshgate's semi-truck passing. But that definitely sounds like a Fleshgate or a mimic. Very spooky. Yeah. Using a loved one to try to get you, to try to trap you, to try to lure you in. When she got to the campsite, I told her that I was hearing it the entire time and thought he was there with her. She laughed and thought I was trying to tease her, but once she believed me, we were both rightfully spooked after that. My dad is very much alive and well. Does anyone know what entity would do this and how she can protect herself while she's alone in her tent tonight? And in the comments, the OP talked about another situation where when she was in the tent, what song was it? I'm probably not going to find it right away. But she was singing some sort of song that she would regularly sing, or she usually sang this, and she heard it as she was in her tent, and I think she said it was sort of like a whistling. I'm not gonna find it. I don't remember what song it was, but she said it would sound like it was far away, then really close, then far away again. And she actually said that the voice singing the song, okay, so it wasn't whistling. I implanted memory or something. But she said the voice sounded like her sister, who is the author of this post. The song was Girl of Constant Sorrow. It was one of the tunes she sings to keep herself company while she's out on the trail. And I didn't go through all of the comments. This was posted 8 months ago. Didn't find out if anything else happened or if she made it out okay. A lot of people, myself included, after experiencing that, I would think would just pack up and go, get as far away from that as possible. It is interesting that it happened after she left the cave system, so I wonder if these sort of mimic entities hide out in caves. So here's the post with the bonus story that isn't related to camping, but I'll throw it in there anyways. My only 2 paranormal experiences in my 36 years on this earth. My biological mother passed away when I was 13 in January 2001. At the time, she lived in another state. She had promised to come visit for Christmas the last time I spoke to her over the phone, November 2000, but never made it / didn't show. Christmas Day 2001, I awoke to the smell of my mother's perfume permeating the entire house. My father, stepmother, and 2 siblings all experienced it as well. I like to think it was her keeping her promise. When I was 15, I went to a church camp in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. I was born and raised in Bentonville, home of Walmart, called Camp Siloam. It was your typical summer camp, rural and heavily wooded. Outdated cabins with bunk beds and community showers, etc. I had attended camp here 3 or 4 other times at this point growing up, and had never had any issues. However, this year there was some kind of presence in one of the cabins that latched onto me and tortured me the entire week of camp, and affected me emotionally to the point of having a suicidal breakdown while I was at camp. At night, I could feel, see, and hear a smothering dark shadow presence that would pace back and forth by my bunk all night. I specifically remember the blanket I had brought being a hospital-style type blanket, so I could see through it, and I just remember hearing the footsteps and watching this shadow and cowering, terrified, under my blanket, too afraid to make a noise or even breathe too deeply. By the end of the week, I was a mess and talking about suicide, acting out of character, etc. I tried explaining to my youth pastor and the camp staff when they intervened what was going on in that cabin at night, but they just wrote me off, didn't believe me, and chalked it up to me being homesick. But there was definitely a demonic presence in that cabin / at the camp. Once I went back home, it all stopped, and my personality returned to normal. I never went back to that camp again. Summer camps are spooky. Have you ever been to a summer camp? Let me know in the comments. Portal in the Woods. Hi all, I have a story to tell from when I was a young kid. I'd say this occurred around 2006 to 2008. I haven't told many people about this because it's absolutely insane, but it happened. So here it goes. My mom and I went camping in the woods of northern Wisconsin. When we arrived to the campground, we were the only people there, which was weird by itself, sure. Everything went semi-normal until our tent filled to the brim with spiders, and we ended up sleeping in the car. It was about 2 or 3 a.m., and I was wide awake because I was just restless and almost paranoid someone was out there in the woods. I was looking out the left rear window when I saw a large portal open. I couldn't believe my eyes, so I pinched and slapped myself to make sure I wasn't dreaming. I definitely wasn't. I could feel the pain. As I watched the portal, it got larger and wider, about 7 or 8 feet tall. It was bluish-green, almost like Rick and Morty, ironically. Immediately after this, I woke up my mom to see if she could see what I was seeing too. She did and freaked out a bit and said, "Don't move and be quiet." I saw one humanoid figure come out with a lantern. He looked around and then gestured to the others to come out. I would say 5 to 6 people came out, almost in an Amish Mennonite sort of clothing. They all had lanterns as well. They gathered around each other and seemed to talk. Then one by one they all entered the woods in single file line. The first man to walk out of the portal was the one to go back in the portal. After he got in, the portal closed, and we watched the humanoids walk into the woods until we couldn't see their light anymore. My mom immediately started the car, and we left in complete silence, and silent the entire car ride back home to Illinois. Ever since then, both my mom and I have been an avid believer of the paranormal and aliens. I'm wondering if anyone has ever seen anything like this before or experienced it before, because I know this sounds absolutely insane, but I swear it happened. Edit, just contacted my mom, and the campground was Crazy Horse Campgrounds in Baraboo, Wisconsin, not Upper Wisconsin as I thought. When I called and told her about this thread, confirmed she saw exactly what I saw and still remembers it to this day. So, there it is. 3 spooky stories. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and I hope you have a good evening.